So basically, here's the news, right?
Yeah.
Dragon Ball is back next year, and get this: Goku and friends are kids again.
Uh,
What?
wait. Is this a prequel or did they just turn into
They
kids?
just turned into kids.
It was like what the fourth time that happened.
This is the second time that happened.
Okay, not including GT. Am I assuming right?
No, GT. No, we're including GT. This is the second time this has happened.
Uh-huh.
So, and I don't, and it looks boring. So I don't know what to say. It's weird because Dragon Ball fans have been waiting years for Dragon Ball to come back after Super ended, and this is what they get when they come back. And it's not even going to be like a full anime. It's gonna be
Right.
it's gonna be like a mini series, like a couple episodes. So
I don't know what fans are expecting. Like, is it just going to be another Super Saiyan transformation? Like, at some point we're going to have to see Super Saiyan Rainbow. You know that, right?
no Super Saiyans because in this trailer we never saw one Super Saiyan form in here. So the assumption is from some people that there is no Super Saiyan in the show, that they're younger so they don't get Super Saiyan anymore. So that way we can go back to just Dragon Ball.
Nah, you don't even get that excuse given that Goten and Trunks became Super Saiyans before they hit puberty.
Yeah,
Like,
well now instead of being teenagers, which we finally got in Superhero, they're gonna be babies.
wow.
This is what we waited for. Well, not we. I didn't care. But this is what Dragon Ball
For me, Dragon Ball ended with Cell. That was it. Like, well,
you didn't like the Boo saga? I know some people did.
I like the Boo saga for what they did with Mr. Satan. Like, that was the best that character was ever written as.
Hello.
That friendship he had with Majin Buu. Oh, hey, Austin.
You didn't wait, hang on. You didn't like Majin Vegeta stuff?
Ah,
Can I be
just
heard?
more-
Or y'all
Yeah,
guys
we
will
hear you.
respond?
We hear you, Austin.
Yeah.
Majin Vegeta, that got tainted as soon as you found out that Goku was just holding back against his
Oh,
fight.
you were salty about that's fair. That's a fair thing to be salty about, but yeah. But I like that.
I mean, like, for God's sakes, Goku, you knew that they were about to unleash a devastating force known as Majin Buu, but yet you just continued to humor Vegeta? Come on, dude.
I like that. If you watch the Dragon Ball Z abridged version when they did it, it was like Shem was like, Goku, you can't do this. You're gonna make Majin Buu. And he's like, is he strong though? The strongest. And then he starts to shoot him. He's like,
Okay, answer me this question because you watch Super, right?
Yeah.
But like when that Galaxy tournament or whatever happened, and when the stipulations came about that like whichever planet, whichever galaxy loses, that whole galaxy gets destroyed.
Universe.
Goku, yeah, the whole universe gets destroyed. Goku's there like saying, "Well, I guess I better win."
Yeah, that's pretty much. That's pretty much.
You're the one who inspired this tournament to happen. Like, yeah. Yeah, Austin?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, Goku doesn't care. Goku never cared.
Amazing.
Can you not hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I would say Goku never cared about people.
They softened
and he's
It's just the
considered
English
pure
dub
part.
that had him give that Superman. It's
And
just
he's
the English
considered-
dub that had him give that Superman speech that everyone thinks Goku's character is for some reason.
Because time is as close as we get to the Japanese version. Even in Z, I think Goku doesn't care about it. He takes it more seriously, but he's also not a hero either. Like he just wants to fight at the end of the day, but he's not gonna put people in danger, go out of his way at least, you know?
No, he has.
He literally did multiple times.
When? In Z.
Are we going to ignore him letting Cell go back to full power to fight Gohan, then just let Gohan kill him?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He's not a full hero, but at that point, he thought Gohan was just going to wash him. That was his only mindset. I was like, oh, Gohan's going to kill him. Who cares?
Okay, but what about giving
It
Frieza
doesn't matter
enough
what
power
he
to-
thought. He didn't have to let Cell go back to full power for
No,
that.
he did. What I'm saying is he does care about people.
Especially Goku knows that Cell is part Saiyan, and it's very possible Cell could have got a Zenkai boost that put him way beyond Gohan. Probably fucking.
I'm not arguing Goku is a hero. I'm arguing Goku does care about things more in Z. Because even then, it's just because he's fighting with Gohan. That's what
And what about willingly giving Frieza enough power to leave an exploding Namek? Did he
That's because he
really think?
actually cares about Frieza's life for some reason, though. That's his
Like,
problem. That's what
did he really think? What did he think Frieza was gonna do? Well, like, yes, the next planet he goes in, he's slaughtering everybody. He's gonna slaughter everybody there.
Goku isn't a hero, but he does care, or that's what it came off as.
Nah.
He actually doesn't care at all. That's what it gets.
He's naive. He somehow thought Frieza was going to change his ways. He literally says that. He didn't care about Frieza. He thought Frieza would change his ways.
Yeah. But yeah. Either way, Dragon Ball, whatever it's called, not Magic, it was called something else, coming out next year, fall. So, speaking of mid shows, are we ready to get into tonight's first topic?
Okay, sure thing. Let me just open up. All right, audience, welcome to Comic Fanatic Live. You're here with me, Cryptid Seeker 415. You ain't getting 2 openings from me in a week, so move on.
All right, this is Jake Tylenol here, the guy who watched Rebels to completion, and we'll now talk about something about it. I don't know. I fumbled that. I really had nothing planned tonight. I'm sorry. It's Thursday.
Yeah.
This is Austin.
Austin?
Rebels suck.
Yeah. All right, audience, and if you want to look for us on our socials, we're on Twitter at ComicFanatic69 and Instagram at ComicFanatic 2.0. And there.
Yeah, we did.
All right. We did it. Yay. Okay, now you go ahead, Jake. Air out your grievances, man.
Okay, well, listen, listen. So we watched Ashoka. That's what this is about. Ashoka Tano. And the show's okay. I think by the end of the day. I think it started off really strong. I still think I would have preferred this to be episode 7 than the episode 7 we got. Even though I don't think episode 7 is terrible. But I think halfway through is kind of where it falls off for me. So for those people who are Star Wars fans but don't know, Ahsoka is a show that is technically a sequel to Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, which was a show about the Ghost Crew, which was a small rebel cell that went on adventures across the galaxy fighting the Empire. And at one of their greatest missions ever, they took down Admiral Thrawn. But spoilers for that show, the cost of it was one member of their team died, and the other got trapped across the galaxy, sending Thrawn with him. And so Ahsoka continues that plotline, following Ahsoka Tano, Padawan of the Master of Evil, Darth Vader. And she is continuing the search for Ezra Bridger, the one who sacrificed himself for Thrawn. At the same time, there is a small faction of Imperials who are also looking for Admiral Thrawn to, free him and bring him back and start a new Star War. So, there we go. I guess we'll start there. I just thought it was okay. I guess Austin also watched the show with me. Maybe he could go over his thoughts as well.
No.
You're not going to do it?
I'll use go.
Okay. I think the biggest problem with the show, ultimately at the end of the day, comes from a lack of. I think someone put it best as like it kind of skips over the things it really needs to talk about. If you haven't watched Rebels, it's hard to really understand the stakes, I feel. Grand Admiral Thrawn, the person that they're trying to stop coming back, is a tactical genius. If you watch Rebels, you get that impression, and I've been told if you read the books, you really get the impression that like Thrawn by himself is like one of the greatest threats the Empire had on their belt, basically. If you watch the show, you're kind of going to be scratching your head like, who's Thrawn? Why should I care? It's just some blue guy, right? And that wouldn't be a problem, except for the fact that that's the main thrust of the show, essentially. My other problem is, if you haven't watched Rebels, which Dave Filoni, the showrunner, said you wouldn't need to enjoy the show, which is true. You don't need to watch Rebels to enjoy the show, but you do kind of lose a connection with like who is Ezra, because one character in the show named Sabine, she is doing everything she can to find him, but there's not a lot of flashbacks. It's not really their relationship isn't really shown beforehand. So you're kind of like, so when Sabine kind of starts doing questionable things just to find Ezra, you're like, whoa, hold on a minute. Like, who is this guy? Is this guy really that worth it? It also doesn't help that Sabine herself, who is a character from Rebels, is acting out of character in a very frustrating way. If you look at Sabine's character just as like a character design, you will get the impression that Sabine is like a rebellious teenager type character, that she doesn't listen to orders when told. If she really disagrees with you, she'll buck out and go on her own. But if you watch Rebels, the TV show, that couldn't be further from the case. Sabine has an attitude, but she never takes it out on the crew. And if she does, she doesn't jeopardize the mission over it, basically. She's very...
There was also a major event that made her change her personality. So don't gloss over that.
There is.
Would change her mindset.
And we'll get to that, but even that I don't think is like enough just to be... No, I don't think the show presents it in a way where it's like, that should have been said earlier. But Sabine's character is acting like completely rash, and so it makes me like be like, I don't know. As Austin said, the show does kind of, well, it attempts to explain this character change with a very traumatic event that happens to her in between Rebels and Ahsoka. The problem I have with it is you learn about that way too late. That happens, you get teased about it midway through the season, and then you get it elaborated on at like the last episode, and it's like, this should have been talked about before you got to this point. Because when it's said, it's just kind of like this happened, and this is why she's like this, and you're just kind of like, oh, there's like no really like emotional weight to it. It's not like she herself talks about it. Another character has to explain to you why this is. And I thought that was weird. Another thing they changed about Sabine's character that was weird is that in Rebels, she learned how to wield a lightsaber, but she wasn't a Jedi. She just needed to learn how to wield it for an arc. In Ahsoka, she wields in Ahsoka they try to make her a Jedi. I've seen a lot of Star Wars fans go back and forth on this. It seems like the general consensus is they don't like it. They like Sabine because Sabine is a Mandalorian. In Star Wars lore, they're like a warrior race. And that was all her character needed, really. Even when she learned to wield a lightsaber, she still used her Mandalorian gifts, really balance out that she couldn't use the Force. Her being full Jedi, it seems a lot of people just don't like because it dilutes her character. And I would have to agree as well. I think we have enough Jedi in the show where Sabine doesn't need to be one. It's cool if she wants to learn how to use the Force, but she shouldn't just be a full-on Jedi, I don't think. So I didn't really like that as well. And then I think my other gripe as well is Rosario Dawson, and for that matter, most of the cast. But I guess Rosario Dawson, Ahsoka Tano, that's her actress. Rosario Dawson's portrayal of Ahsoka, I've had this problem, I think, with her since I first saw her in the Mandalorian clips. I don't really like how she conveys Ahsoka. She seems very subdued and not a lot of energy in it. And I get where this character change comes from, but it doesn't make her that interesting to follow. Ahsoka, if you really broke it up, having rewatched the Clone Wars, Ahsoka isn't really like a deep character, but she's a fun character to be around, I would say. I enjoy watching her do stuff. But when I'm watching this show, it's just kind of like Ahsoka's just like, kind of, I wouldn't say moody, but not really. She doesn't really put a lot of passion in it. So I don't really feel a connection to her. Later, again, this is another thing that's explained with, I wouldn't say off-screen, but kind of off-screen stuff based off where we last seen her, but it's like, it just makes her boring to watch until she finally tries to be energetic again. But yeah, all in all, I think those are my major gripes with the show. But it's not all bad. I would say, for the most part, what is it? Episode. I'm not. I would say for the most part, I do like the villains. There's Balin's Skull, who is by far like one of my favorite Star Wars villains. It might be my favorite right now. Unfortunately, his actor passed away, but he does. But he does a phenomenal job in the show. His acting for the character is so great. He takes lines that are good and makes them like excellent. Like he makes it almost Shakespearean in some scenes. Just the way he delivers some lines, and he adds so many layers with such little he has. So you really are interested every time he's on screen. And his character is just intelligent in a way I don't see a lot in Star Wars villains. So you're just kind of like, oh shit, he's actually pretty cool. So his fighting style also is just kind of fun to watch as well. I really did enjoy his character. And he has an apprentice as well, Shin Hati. I think I pronounced that right. But she is his apprentice, and she gets even less to say, but you just like seeing these two together. Because you get the idea that like she really looks up to Balin and clings on to his every word. And Balin seems to really appreciate she's there, but he understands that like her path in life is not going to be the same place as his. And so he's kind of preparing her for like going off on her own, essentially. And I wish that was explored more because it's actually the most interesting part of the show for me to watch, I would say. But yeah, and of course, again, we have Thrawn. Thrawn is in the show. You can see him in the trailers. He's played by the actor who plays him in Rebels, and his voice lines are good. But I think I have to agree with everyone. Like, he doesn't come across as impressive. The only thing that makes him smart is that he makes the only logical decision he could make in that time. But it's not like he does a strategy that's like, oh shit, why did I think of that? You know what I mean? Like he doesn't make you feel stupid for not thinking of something, I think. And that's kind of my biggest problem. Because when he does show up, he already has the upper hand, really. So it's not like he has to think too hard of what to do next. As long as he's just playing things like not like an idiot, it's fine. But I think that also takes away from like I don't get the impression that he's a big deal from this show, as opposed to Rebels. At the very least, while he couldn't kill off any of the heroes, you did get the impression that he was kind of brilliant in the way he set up his grand strategies. Even in the finale of Rebels, how like ruthless and heartless he could kind of be. If he really needed to win, like he would just kind of forgo the whole like, oh, I respect you thing to like, no, I have to do this because like this is the job, I got to get it done. Because at Rebels, like he straight up like bombs the town. He's like, listen, you're gonna stop, I'm gonna kill all of you. That's gonna be the end of it. And I kind of wanted something like that where you kind of see how little fucks he gives to get the job done because he's just just like that far ahead of everybody.
Okay, down to business. All right.
Yeah, like it was like I said, it was a really good moment. I really like the finale of that show. But like I said, in this show, you never really get that impression. He only meets one of the main characters, and it's not even Ahsoka. He meets like Sabine, and they have a passing dialogue, and that's it. But he never meets Ahsoka. He has lines with her at the very end, but they never actually have like a formal conversation. He never talks to Ezra. We find out like he hasn't seen Ezra since he got here. And I was like, that's weird because Ezra is like the only person to actually beat you, like straight up. And you have like no dialogue with him, at least at this time, you know? There's no dialogue, there's no like little banter or something like that. I mean, like Ezra pulled out the greatest, that was your greatest L you've ever taken. You have nothing with this guy, you know? So I kind of felt like a missed opportunity. And then also we have the Night Sister, who's in charge of Balin and Shin because she hired them. There wasn't really much to her character, but for some reason in the last episode, she kind of just became like the final boss, which her fight was amazing. But I was like, why is she doing this here? She would have been way more useful like in a season 2 or something. But I don't know why she was, doing that there. I think my last complaint also comes up from one of the episodes that everyone likes, but I don't. And I went over this in an episode that we did earlier. But there was another episode I just really didn't like, and it was episode 5, which every Star Wars fan loves it. In case you haven't seen it, there's spoilers here, so click off if you want to see it yourself. But Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker himself, comes back to teach Ahsoka one last lesson. After Ahsoka, essentially loses her first fight in the show. And through this fight, you get to see Ahsoka's past, and they really hammer in. She was a child soldier, 14 years of age. She was leading men on the battlefield, and stuff like that. And all of this is fine. Nothing's wrong here. But I think my biggest problem comes with, like, that's all they tell you about Ahsoka? She's a child soldier. She's fought for a long time. She's tired of fighting. And Anakin has to cheer up and make her realize she has to keep fighting. And I'm like, Ahsoka, not for nothing, but like your master tried to kill you last time you saw him. You're not gonna say anything about it. These two have had kind of like a heartbreaking history since the Clone Wars show ended, and they don't address any of it. And it's like, what's going on? Ahsoka, so for people who don't know, in Clone Wars, Ahsoka left the Jedi Order after being framed for a crime she didn't commit, and she felt like none of the Jedi had her back. And even though she understood that Anakin was there for her, she's like, "You're not enough." Just knowing that that they didn't trust me enough to give me the benefit of the doubt, I can't be here, basically. So she left, and because of this, when Anakin turns to Darth Vader, Ahsoka carries a guilt with her that Vader is her fault, essentially. And it was a huge part of her arc in Rebels Season 2, that she was afraid that Anakin is the way he is now because she wasn't there for him, essentially. To the point where when she fights Vader, and they're both about to die, Ahsoka could have left, but she's like, "I'm not leaving you this time. Like, I'm not leaving you again." And in that episode, she actually dies trying to be there for Vader. Vader just kind of leaves her there, essentially. Yeah. Now through some time travel shenanigans, she comes back in the future.
Wait, explain those time travel shenanigans.
Okay, so in Rebels, Dave Filoni loves his characters, and he especially loves Ahsoka Tano. So after he killed her off, he was like, I don't want her dead, actually. So what he did instead was he invented this thing in Rebels called the World Between Worlds, and it's a dimension that Palpatine has been trying to get to for years but can't. In this dimension, you can travel to any point in time and alter it in Star Wars history. Ezra, with the help of Sabine, unlocked the key, and Ezra made it in by himself. And he found Ahsoka right before she's about to die, and he saved her. And he brought her to the future. And then after fighting off Palpatine, he brings her back to the moment where she was supposed to die, but after the temple collapsed, so she could just come back and she's fine, essentially. So that's how she came back to life, you know. Now, luckily, Star Wars doesn't abuse the time travel thing. That's just a thing they had, basically. But yeah, no, all this happens, and like Ahsoka doesn't even talk to Vader or talk to Anakin about this. She's not upset with him for being Vader, because essentially, like, when she boils down her problem to Anakin, it's like, I'm worried that I'm gonna be a monster like you, but she doesn't say that. So it's like she's tiptoeing around the issue, and you're like, can you just talk? You know what I mean? But like they never really like talk about like Ahsoka's not like, Anakin, why did you change? Like she never asked that. Like she doesn't be like, Anakin, you were my hero, but now you were like the greatest terrorist in the galaxy. And like you're the greatest terrorist in the galaxy. So like what happened with that? She doesn't ask any of those questions or like try to resolve any closure in their relationship. They're just friends again. And I was like, this is just kind of lame. I really didn't like that. Like I said, I thought everything else was fine. It's just that was really such a letdown, and it felt kind of like more nostalgia than anything. And even I think the last thing too that kind of ties into this too, even Sabine, when she does see Ezra again, there's like a moment where like Ezra asks like, "How did you find me?" And Sabine should have just said, well, no, and Sabine kind of dodges the question because she doesn't want to admit what she did to get to Ezra, which was kind of fucked up. And that never like reaches a conclusion. Like Ezra never really never confronts her about it. She never tells him the truth. They just kind of gloss over that Sabine did something very terrible to save her best friend or one of her best friends. And I think another review put this best. It felt like Dave Filoni has the idea in his head, but he doesn't know how to execute it. He's like, as long as I'm here, it's fine. So that seems like his biggest problem with the show. Like he knows he wants to get somewhere, but he doesn't pay attention to how he executes it.
That's a good way of putting it.
Oh, what were you saying?
No, I was saying that was a good way of putting it. Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, while this show is like, I would recommend giving it a watch. But I mean, if I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it, I would say. I would say that it's good. It's set up for the future of Star Wars. But to be fair, based off how Star Wars does exposition anyway, I don't feel like you need to watch it. I feel like the next time Thrawn shows up, I highly doubt you'll need to watch the show to understand why he's here. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on the issue. That's my thoughts on the subject. I think it's a 7 out of 10. So much, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like if you're already invested in the Ahsoka character, then this is still a must-watch. Would you say that?
I would say so. If you want to see where the Ahsoka character has gone after Rebels, because after season 3, she's just not in the show anymore. So yeah, I kind of wish though, because this show is actually intended for not fans. It has moments for fans, but it's really for a newer audience. But then I don't know why it begs the question, Ahsoka, where were you when like Luke needed training in episode 5? Or like where were you in episode 6 when Luke was fighting the Emperor by himself? You know what I mean? I wish the show would have explained that detail. It could have done it in episode 5 and the show's version of episode 5 as well. But yeah, no, I would say the show is like, if you're invested in Ahsoka's character, I would watch the show, but like, I don't think it's a great show. I think it could have been, but it's not. But that's kind of where it is. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. Any thoughts? Any comments, Austin?
Not really. He pretty much summed everything. I didn't really like the show.
Oof. And in case the audience doesn't know, I'm not too heavily invested with Star Wars stuff, so yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, Ahsoka, it's a show. It's getting a season 2, but it's gonna be hard. The actor, because they need that actor back that died, so they need to find out something to do with it. So,
Gotcha. All right, then. With that, I think we should move on to the next topic.
Oh wait, Cryptid. I told you I
Yeah.
could make it last 30 minutes.
Okay, go ahead. Wait, how much more
I
time
told
do
you I
we
could make it
have?
last 30 minutes. I said I could make Ahsoka last 30 minutes. If I tried.
Okay, go ahead. I mean, we're already past the 30-minute mark anyway, so
Exactly. I told you I could do it.
Good for you, holding up a bar like that. Okay. All right then. So let's move on. Austin, this is your beast.
All right, so Ultimate Invasion by Jonathan Hickman. The book everyone thought was bringing back the Ultimate Universe, but no. He said, "F you," specifically for thinking that. I'm Jonathan Hickman. I'm gonna make my own. I'm gonna make my own Ultimate Universe, and we'll see how it looks. But from say what you're gonna say.
I was about to say, like, I think it's just that Marvel doesn't want to commit to bringing back the Ultimate Universe because Hickman isn't the first to try bringing them back. Like, you had Donny Cates, then you had Brian Michael Bendis, and you had Al Ewing. Each one of them had their own books, Venom, Ultimate Square, and Spider-Man 2. And they all tried bringing back the Ultimate Universe, but after their stories ended, that's where they were halted.
No. To be fair, Donny Cates would have brought back the Ultimate Universe, but then it was gonna be after he did his Thor run, and then we know what happened. He had a he had to get taken off the book and stuff.
Yeah.
But he was going to do that, and then Hickman said, "You know what? I can do something with that."
Okay,
but the only previous information before this book, if you read Jonathan Hickman's New Avengers and his Fantastic Four, you can tell all that writing is here. All the same themes are here: time travel, fatherhood, all that crazy stuff is here for some reason. But I'm trying to think of the best way to line this up with Donny Cates thing, because the last time you see the Maker before this book is that he finally makes it back to the Ultimate Universe, but it's still pretty much messed up. It's really bad. And he was given this task of fixing the universe to join the Council of Reeds. And then you see him here, he's imprisoned, and he basically made his own heist, but leave a decoy using the bodies of the men who broke him out, so no one knows he left. This is supposed I think this is before the Venom run, and that's how he got out.
Yeah. That was a very grotesque scene, audience, like where he decided to pay off the men for breaking them out by making them perfect into his image by like fusing them all together to make a copy of himself. Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is supposed to be where he was before the Venom run. Okay, in the Venom run, he kind of comes out of nowhere, and he's just a big part of that book. This is Venom 2008. 2018 by Donny Cates for people who don't know. But the moment he gets out, or at least the moment we get back to present day, he's stolen one item from every Illuminati member, and this is like the full Illuminati. So you got Black Bolt here, even though like his people are on the halfway across the galaxy or something, or in Alaska. I don't remember what he said.
Yeah.
But their city is just hidden. Him and Kamala are the only two Inhumans you will ever see in like the last like 5 years. But everyone's here. Namor, Professor X, who somehow the Maker stole a flower from. So I guess he just had some mutant genes in that background that he just used to steal a flower. Because people have been trying this for like 5 years now since that whole Krakoa era started. But he stole one item from everything just to get their attention, so they can show up to see what he did. But he pays he does this one interesting thing where he goes to Miles Morales and asks him, "Do you want to go home with me?" Because kind of like we're brothers in a way. This is not counting everyone else from the Ultimate Universe who was here that he didn't go check with for some reason.
And Miles is like, "Yeah,
Jimmy Hudson."
Oh, poor guy. Yeah, in case the audience needs a refresher, because I don't blame anybody for forgetting who Jimmy Hudson was. He was the son of the Wolverine from the Ultimate Universe who made his way onto 616 universe. He briefly joined the Young X-Men team for a time up until he got poisoned in one of the Venom arcs, and he specifically became the one person out of that whole event that still remains a poison and has never been seen again.
Yep, he's just out there in the wild. We have no idea.
Yep.
And he's probably going to stay there for the rest of the week.
Yep, seriously, audience. Like at the height of the mutants when it came to our Krakoa stuff, and at the height of Venom, that was Donny Cates' era. You know, Jimmy Hudson could have been in both properties, but he was in neither. And you're like, wow, they really did him dirty, like horribly, like you know. But yeah,
it probably better he wasn't here because he was just going to go home to die, really.
Yeah,
but we'll get to that later. Because rereading it, I realized like a lot of stuff I didn't know the first time around. But yeah, so he basically baits the whole Illuminati dare while he turned that will send him to from their point of view, a random universe. But he's going specifically to a universe that he dials 1660, which is not the Ultimate Universe, but it's a universe early on. It's kind of a mirror of the Ultimate Universe very early on, before Spider-Man got bitten. So he still got enough time to play around and do what he wants, at least from his point of view. But he asked them, he asked them a specific question: if you could, would you erase me from existence? And he looks at Reed specifically, and Reed tells him without hesitation, yes, 100%. And he says, I'll keep that in mind. And then he immediately goes to the new universe and stops Peter Parker from becoming Spider-Man. And it threw everybody off, especially since, as of right now, there is an Ultimate Spider-Man book announced. So we'll see if that's Peter or Miles or how they're going to handle that. But
written by Jonathan Hickman.
We're going to jump a little bit
forward.
That's actually going to be interesting. I don't think he ever wrote a solo Peter book, from my understanding.
Yeah, but that's going to have to be a must read because, like, think about Hickman's writing style. He's a really widespread map sort of writer. Like even a tie-in, like will have some involvement into the bigger picture that he's planning forward. So, audience, keep an eye out for that Spider-Man book by him.
But we kind of got to flash forward a little bit. So the way this new world is set up is most heroes are either dead or erased from the timeline because the maker didn't let them become heroes. And the biggest change you get is there is an Iron Man, but it's not Tony Stark. It's his father. But the way this is interesting, usually when his dad becomes Iron Man, it's always just like, oh, it's the cold-hearted Howard Stark. It's literally just Howard Stark going through everything that Tony did, and we get to see how he would react in that situation. He has the drinking problem. He has the self-doubt. He has everything Tony had when he first became Iron Man in his head. But he takes over Latveria. Doom is assumed dead, but he just never commented on by this point. But he turns Latveria into his new hideout, and he apparently stayed there for years. And then he molded the world around it. So he has I think his main factions are the Immortal Hulk, but this is a Hulk who has lived long enough that he overcome his rage, and he's kind of like embracing Buddhism, and he's a pacifist. He's kind of like a Hulk version of Gandhi, with the way he talks and stuff. and the Rasputin family, which is in this universe, Magic, Colossus, and Omega Red, who I don't know if it's actually related to them in the main universe. At least I've never seen them do so.
They just had to relate them because they're all Russian. Wow.
I think it works out. I think it's a great family. They look good together at the photo. But just keep that in mind for later. And the world is not in really states or countries; they're in territories, basically. So you got the Russian territory ran by the Rasputins, and all these people work for the Maker. Obadiah Stane is the head of Stark Industries. They're still making weapons and everything like the regular universe, but Obadiah Stane is alive and he's working with Tony, but he's the main one who deals with the Maker. The Howard has never actually talked to the Maker until this issue. And you find out the Maker brings Howard here, and then clones of heroes come from the future to kill him. We thought they were time travel versions of like Avengers. First time me and you talked about a cryptid. These are clones made by King.
Wow.
And what the Maker did to stop this, like we thought he did something to just make them melt. What he did was he had everybody of current day who were related to these clones in the future, whoever, he had them rounded up and killed, and that's why they all fizzled out of existence in that horrible looking panel.
Mm-hmm.
But he revealed that no, this has been happening for a minute. And whatever the first time this happened, they actually got a shot off on me. And the Maker took off his helmet. You realize half his brain is missing. And this is the first comic in a long time where the Maker's actually been like bodily injured to the point where he couldn't heal it in any way. The only other thing, the burn mark on his face they had,
which he keeps by choice, I might add. Because
but the Maker's been cut up into pieces and everything. But like most of his brain is gone, so he's not smart enough to fix this thing he has, and he don't know how he has it. And it's the Mortis engine of Kang, which allows you to time travel. So he gets Howard Stark here to build it, to try to fix it for him, basically. Long story short. But when Howard sees and he talks to everybody, like he talks to the Rasputins, he talks to the new Captain Britain, who has both the sword and the amulet, which isn't possible in the main universe. He realized, hey, this is really messed up stuff here. What are we doing? And he kind of gets his Tony Stark moment where he's like, I gotta be a part of the problem where I can actually try to fix the problem. And he goes to the grave, him and Tony talk, and Tony's like, I know no matter what, you're gonna try to do your best. So I'm gonna believe in you and follow your lead. And Howard's like, you know what, I got this. And he goes back to the Maker. The Maker takes him to a room to fix the Mortis, and you find Dr. Doom. But it's not Victor Von Doom. It's the Reed Richards of this universe that he captured after they went into space. And he puts him in a room where Reed cannot tell what time it is. So Reed just thinks he's been here for like forever. He lost track of time himself. He's kind of insane.
Oh, and keep in mind, like the Maker also wanted to kind of torture Reed by having one hole in the wall that shows a glimpse of sunlight poking through, and Reed,
Okay, Reed tried to use that to tell the days, but you find out that that's all just artificial light that the Maker made to mess with him. Oh yeah, Cryptid. I realize this recording is kind of delayed because by the time I'm talking, you'll tell me like, "Go ahead," and I'm more like mid sentence or something.
Oh, okay. All right. Technical issues happen, audience.
Yeah, so I'm just letting y'all know we are talking at our right times. It just the audio seemed to be delayed a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But let me see where. So you see Doom. Well, I'm going to keep calling him Doom instead of saying Reed because there's other Reeds in the story, obviously.
Yeah.
But Doom tells Howard, I know secrets. I actually know I know what happened. I know where the Maker's from, and I might know how to stop him. And the maker shows up and he's like, y'all are actually fixing a time machine. I don't even know how I built this or when I built it. And Howard's like, to be honest, after seeing everything you've done, I don't think you did build this. Or if you did build it, the hole in your head is preventing you from remembering it and fixing it. And then Howard turns on the machine and brings in Kang's army from the future to fight the Maker. And when the Maker sees Kang and the clones, he says, "Oh, I do know you." He starts to remember a little bit. And you find out when the Maker got to this universe, the first thing he did was not the Peter Parker's, what's the Peter Parker scene. And then right after that, he built this machine, went to the future because he wanted to see if he worked. If his plan worked, then no matter what he did, the future should be there. Correct? At least that's how he saw it. But what he met was Kang, and Kang said, "Get the F out of my house," and he shot him in the face. And that's where the whole his head came from. And it was like, that actually makes a lot of sense. That's probably what happened. Like 90% of people show up at Kang's house like that. But it's Kang is definitely wearing an Iron Man armor. Go ahead.
I'm just kind of surprised nobody really thought to use time travel that way. Like, you have a plan of your own, and if you want to see if it works out, just use the time machine to go in the future and see if it actually worked. You know?
Yeah, that's why I like it. I was like, yeah, of course, if you can do that, you would just do that. That makes perfect sense. I have a plan. Let's see if it works. I want to make a kingdom that lasts for billions of years. I'm gonna go a billion years in the future, see if it worked out, and it did not.
Yeah, the stocks I'm buying in this one corporation. Let me just see if that's worth the investment. Oh wow, it's not. It is. Okay, yeah, I'm there. You know, thank you, time machine.
But the Kang here is wearing the version of Iron Man armor with the Mortis engine in the arc reactor spot. But everyone starts fighting. This is really just a big fight panel, not a lot to talk about. Kang and the Maker are going at it. I almost call him the Ultimate. The Maker is going at it, and they're fighting. Howard Stark tries to help. Howard Stark's armor gets messed up, and he almost dies. But in the middle of the fighting, Kang knocks Maker down. If I remember, he defeats Maker here, and then Howard goes to look at Kang's face, and he gets a really sad look on his face. And you just cut to the future. The Latveria kingdom where the Maker was is closed down, and time works differently there. So people don't know if the Maker's alive or how he's going to be if he comes out of there. The Maker most likely will survive his wounds because that's kind of what he does, and come out like 1,000 years in the future for all we know, depending on how the story works. But the Rasputins and all of them are just wondering what to do. They're like, "This is the Maker's gone. What do we do now?" The Hulk just tells them, "Let's just kind of run our own stuff and split the world back up, or we can try to wait for the Maker." Everyone lets y'all decide. And they cut to Tony. They cut to Reed Richards, who's Dr. Doom. He brings the armor. He brings a letter from Howard, and Howard left a note for Tony, which is the Iron Man 2 scene, where he tells him, "I tried to do all this great stuff, but all this stuff never really works out, except for my greatest creation, which is you." And Iron Man takes that note, and he does what Iron Man does. He builds a suit of armor, and he takes the immortal engine that his father built, and he puts it in his chest, just like the arc reactor. And he says, "I'm not going to call myself Iron Man. I don't think I earned my father's name. I'm going to call myself Iron Lad," which alludes to him becoming the king somehow. It also explains why his dad was sad. But at the stinger to this episode, this issue, Iron Man and Doom immediately go back in time. And it's like, after all the stuff the Maker did, there was actually a hero he didn't kill who we can save. For the record, I'll say some of the changes right here because I mentioned them earlier. A lot of the changes in this universe was like Thor gets humbled and Loki becomes the king of Asgard. Cap remains frozen. If I remember, we spoke on Peter Parker not getting his powers. I believe Hawkeye was killed. A lot of the Avengers got messed up basically. Carol went to space, but she didn't get her powers or anything. She didn't meet the Marvel, none of that stuff. But they go back in time and they're like, if we're going to fix this universe, we got to start at the beginning, and we're going to go get Captain America.
Yay! So
and that's how this book ends. Go ahead. What are you saying?
I was going to say, like, okay, I know the Ultimate Captain America wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but I liked him for what he was. You know, more hardcore, this and that. If this was at the hands of any other writer, I would be kind of scared as to how they would handle Ultimate Cap. I mean, I would think in today's climate they would try making him someone akin to Soldier Boy from The Boys. But because Hickman is writing this, I have more confidence in him handling a character like him. You know?
I agree because Cap and Spider-Man like the biggest what ifs in this story, like going forward. And he got the X-Men.
Oh yeah.
Because all we saw was the Rasputins. We didn't really see any other mutants. So we don't know if how they're gonna do the origin of mutants this timeline again either. But with them going back in time to get Cap, that pretty much resets the timeline again if they really want to. So Peter can still be the Ultimate Survivor in that book. You can still get human-made X-Men or mutant-born X-Men. But we have to wait and see.
Are we gonna get the Ultimate Krakoa? The Ultimate Krakoa. Marvel's
the only way we'll probably get that if he wants to finish his story. The only way we'll get that if he want to finish the story, because they ruined it for him. Remember, in year 2 of the Krakoa era, he wanted Franklin Richards to be a big part going forward in the second saga, and Dan Slott said, "No, F you. I'm not making him mute. I'm taking it back."
It was more than just Dan Slott, because I think Hickman, he pretty much got outvoted because when he was writing the Krakoa era, he had phases planned, phases 1, phases 2, and phases 3. But a bunch of writers, they wanted to stay in phase 1 to make stories that they want to tell. And yeah, that's where Krakoa just stayed at, phase 1, you know?
Yeah, no, he talked about it and he said he could have, well, they're in the final stage now. Yeah. But he talked about it. He said he would have been fine with that. But going forward in the second stage, Franklin Richards would have been the most important part of that story. That's the whole point of X-Men versus Fantastic Four. The book was to set up Franklin being a mutant fully and joining this team. And I think he was supposed to be a big part of the Legion storyline. Because you can tell there's parts missing from that story. But the moment the Dan Slott thing went through, he completely just left that project.
Wow.
But going back to this book, depending on what you wanted from this book, it depends on your enjoyment.
Yeah.
If you came to see Hickman write, he writes here. All the themes that Hickman talked about, the fatherhood, you see that between Tony and his dad and Howard, time travel, the Fantastic Four stuff, like everything you ever seen him wrote, kind of is in these 4 issues. So if you enjoy his style of writing, it's in this book. But if you came to see the Ultimate Universe or the main universe invade the Ultimate Universe or vice versa, that's not what you're getting. You're getting Kang and his clones invading this new Ultimate Universe. So I can understand people being disappointed by not getting what they thought was advertised if you didn't watch the trailer.
Yeah, that's where I was in the band camp of just wanting to see the Ultimate Universe come back. As for the story as a whole, it wasn't what I wanted, but I feel like it left on a good note for stories that are going to be potential for the future, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff this book opened up for that I'm kind of excited for. Like Spider-Man in general, it's just some people's favorite version of Spider-Man, period, which is kind of funny.
A lot of people grew up on that guy, man.
Was it? Do you remember all the Ultimate announcements that were said? I think it was Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ultimate X-Men, and that's all I remember.
There was one more. It might have been Ultimate Avengers. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Oh wait, Twilight Avengers.
Yeah, Twilight Avengers. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So if y'all anything interested in the story, y'all like any part of the story, I would say move on to those books.
Mm-hmm.
It's only going to expand on it, and stuff in the story will only make more sense as that's Jonathan Hickman's storytelling.
Yeah.
To be honest.
And also keep in mind, given how badly his run on X-Men was, I'm assuming like Hickman chose to come back to Marvel only with the agreement that he's going to want to finish his era, like with the Ultimates and the Spider-Mans and all that stuff, full from phase 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to see a fully complete story from Hickman in this. So yeah.
To be honest, I think he's just gonna do phase 1 and then just let it rock, and then just let them have it again. I think he is just gonna tell the story that he wants to tell, which is just restarting this universe and making it more interesting, and then giving you the basis of each new character. And then, if someone wants to go do something with that, they can do that.
Ooh.
Because I think he wants to focus on the gods. Now that after I read it,
just let it be on his terms. That's what I want.
But for rating.
Okay.
Yeah, for a rating, I'll give this book a 7 or 8 out of 10, depending on what you were looking for. It is a good told story. It's just not what you thought you were going to get, and that's a big plus or a big down for people.
That's an excellent way to analyze this book. I mean, for me, again, I wanted to see more the Ultimate Universe come back, but because of that, I will have to give it like a 6 out of 10, just for that. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can't even fault you. That's the crazy part about
it. Gotcha. But alrighty, audience. With that, let's. You got any final thoughts, Austin?
I hope Tony's transition to King makes a lot of sense, because once you do time travel, it always gets kind of muddy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So far, he's done it okay, but you have to make Tony deciding to live for millions of years or so make a lot of sense. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But alrighty, guys, we're close to the 1 hour mark, so I think we should be moving on to the next book, which is another Hickman story, which is Gods. Now, all writers have their tropes, positives and negatives. And for me, I kind of saw a little bit of more of the negatives emphasized within Hickman's style of writing. Because keep in mind, what he said, his pros are, expanding the universe, or like map creating, like, putting the pieces, the building blocks there to build a structure later. But in Gods, I really had no investment either in the new characters they had here or the threats that they were facing. I was getting like deja vu with I was like getting deja vu with the Eternals, to be honest. And keep in mind, audience, keep in mind, audience, this book was a $10 book. So if this was just a typical like $4 book, I will understand it. But if I'm spending that much money on this single issue, I want to enjoy it, but I just didn't.
I believe this is going to be like a 4-issue book. I believe 4 or 5.
Yes, there is going to be a couple more issues, but I
actually really enjoyed it.
Okay, I hope those other issues aren't $10 though. Like, I mean, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Austin, but I'm just like, I'm trying to get this from like a new reader, outsider perspective,
For me and you, I feel like it's the Loki thing again, where it's just like me and you just like from basis enjoy different things.
Yeah.
I don't think there's like a different clouds of Hickman story. That's really what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
For people don't know, the premise of the story, before I let Cryptic give you the overview, is what he did was he decided to make basically the end of technology and the end of magic aspects. Well, kind of like how you want to say I don't want to say like eternity, chaos, and all that. So basically, when science reaches its peak, it became something called the powers that no, it became something called the natural order of things. And magic at its peak was where the concept of magic is as a person, wherever it's performance. It's a concept now. It's a thing, but it's called the powers that be. And this book is a kind of a love story between the avatar of the power that be and the avatar of the natural order of things. But Cryptid, I actually really like this book because the main character reminded me of Constantine from DC. That was my
That's what I heard. That's what I heard from other people. It has to be the trench coat, right? Like, except it's colored red. I would imagine like
what he did. He felt like he came in.
For the audience, like there's this new character here who's the main character here, right? His name is Win. And I could just imagine Jonathan Hickman, he had a pitch for a Constantine book that he just, recycled for this story. Because you're introduced to him, you're introduced to his partner Dimitri, and you're introduced to his wife, who Jake, you're gonna have to help me out on this. What's the name of his wife? Jake, you there? Okay, we lost Jake. Okay. Jake was pressuring me on this because I'm referring to this person as Wynn's wife because I can't remember her name. So they're going through.
I'm looking to see if I can find it, but I kept making jokes that she was Emma Frost the whole time. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, Emma Frost, but with short hair. But anyway, in a typical Constantine-like fashion, she's a classy lady, but they're married, but at the same time they could get divorced at any moment. There's a very rocky relationship between them. I think there was mentions about them whether or not they should get their divorce papers or something like that.
No. What? And that wasn't the case here. She said they had a wonderful marriage for the first 5 years. It was that the natural order of things, it just recruited her, and they're telling her, "You can't date him because we are at war with his master."
Ah, okay.
So they're forcing her to either divorce her. They're forcing her to either divorce the man she loves, or choose the job that she always wanted, basically.
So she's choosing a job over her marriage. Okay, I see.
Well, to be fair, the job is very important.
Who did you say? Who did you say?
That's basically what it comes down to. But it's a very story. I mean, dialogue when I'm talking.
Yeah.
So he comes in. He's kind of charming. He's literally like you're constantly not trying with just one person. He comes in drinking.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
But he comes in drinking. She's like, she explains the situation to him. He's like, but I don't want to break up. I'm not going to do that. That's dumb. I love you and you love me. So why would we do that? We can try to fight it. And she's like, bro, you have been the avatar or the main puppet of the powers. Not the powers. The main puppet of powers that be for like thousands of years. The universe needs you. Anytime there's a big thing, you show up, you do something. So I'm not going to make you quit so we can be together, so I can have this job. I'm just gonna do this job, and you just go do your thing. I'm trying to end this on even terms. He's like, no. She's like, I got divorce papers. She's like, I'm not gonna sign them. And then she pulls out a gun, and shoots him in the face. It was the funniest thing to me, Crip. But I didn't mean to take over your thing, though. I'll let you explain the rest.
Oh no, it's okay. You're more in depth into this story than I was, because for the most part, I was just glossing over a lot of this stuff because it was hard for me to get invested into these concepts because it may be a Constantine sort of trope, but I just never been into Constantine himself,
I understand. For now on, you don't have to buy the book. I'll buy the book, and I'll explain it.
Gotcha. Like I wanted to get
that way you don't have to waste $10.
No,
I don't want you to waste $10 more if you don't end up enjoying the book for real.
Oh no! Keep in mind, like I didn't come into this book wanting to hate it. Like I saw Hickman on the title, and I'm like, this is gonna be worth it, But coming out of this book,
I agree, and it might get better later for you. But I don't want you to buy end up buying all the issues and then not enjoying the book. So I'll just buy it, and then if you like it, you can buy it or something.
I'm trustful of Hickman that some stuff will pay off later on. Like one of the stuff I did like from this book. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Okay, like one of the things I did kind of like was like when Wynn went to this one gala, right? To go get some information with these like two monsters. One is like a wolf in a suit, and the other one is a piranha woman. And apparently, this whole gala thing is really about like who's going to be their next meal. But don't worry. They're making sure that the next meal. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. The delay makes it sound like I'm interrupting, but I'm agreeing with you. They find like humanity around the area to try to feed on, or something like that.
Yep, that's what they do. Okay, they have to eat, So, yeah, that was a saving grace for me in this book. But aside from that, you want to explain a little bit more? So, what's going on afterwards?
I think that's funny because I did really enjoy that part, but I'm a lore dude. I love lore history, like my two favorite things. So after this scene, he gets shot, and it cuts to him meeting Wong and Doctor Strange, and they open up a concept that I was very interested in, and they call it the Library of the Worlds. And if you look at this photo, that every major faction is like cut into different sections. So you have magic users on one side. You have Doctor Doom, you have Scarlet Witch here, you have Doctor Strange, and you see all of them in the background. You got the Science Men, where you see Reed Richards, Beast. I believe this is Beast in the back over here. It looks like he Beast with a necklace on, but it's a lot you can get AIM scientists here.
Damn! Don't let Beast around getting any new ideas. Damn it!
I don't know if it's Beast. It looks like how old Beast used to be drawn, not how he looks now.
Gotcha. Oh, you even see Herbie around the background.
Yep, you see Herbie, and I was like, and Doctor Strange explains it. Basically, when there are still just some events that are just way too big for like the Avengers and other stuff. So what do? You call literally the best of everything, which is they all meet up here. The best scientists, the best magic users, basically together. If we all work together, we can basically do anything. Which is But Doctor Strange explains it with the natural order things. I have to get used to saying that. The natural order things walks in with Wynn's wife, who I'm just gonna call rip off Emma Frost for now.
Okay. I mean, I'll try calling her that as opposed to Wynn's wife.
It's literally the only thing I see her as, because I knew her name before you said Wynn's wife, and I don't know what to call her. But Doctor Strange explains a Babylonian event.
Jake. Yeah, do you remember?
Jake, you're back.
It was like Eiko or something like that.
Eiko or something. Okay.
Yeah, it was something with E, but we're calling her rip off Emma Frost, and that's over. It's too late.
Are you okay with that, Jake? All right.
I'm trying to save you from getting canceled. Okay.
Hey.
So, if y'all feel bad about it, just storm her name in the comments. I promise we'll say it. If y'all do that, we'll say her name right from now on. If y'all don't, I'm still calling her rip off Emma Frost. That's how we'll do it. But Doctor Strange explains an event a concept I really like, where it's the Babylonian event, and it's basically what the end of all things in a way, if I remember correctly. But there's some guy, he stole the staff of the Living Tribunal. If you watch the Doctor Strange movies, you have seen this item. It's not nearly as strong as it is in the comics, as everything is.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, this guy, some AIM scientists, they were just in there cooking, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna unleash a Dark Lord who's, I assume, stronger than Shumagorath, based on them releasing him, and everyone being scared.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, my internet messed up for a second. Let me scroll down.
Okay.
Basically, everyone just debating how to fix this problem. But when has a handler basically named Dimitri that Crit mentioned earlier? Dimitri's job is basically he works for I believe he works for the Natural Order things as well, but he's basically like a walking encyclopedia, walking wiki, and he takes everything literal and he just explains to everything to when asks. And sometimes leads to funny moments, like when Wynn tries to like bluff or act like something not bother him, and then Dimitri just will like explain it. Hey, look, there's your ex-wife. And he's like, that's not my ex-wife. Oh yeah, look, it's that lady who you used to be married to, and then she shot you in the face and left you there to die. Do you remember that? Oh, you did remember. You just didn't want to talk to me. Okay. And that's kind of how he speaks to this dude throughout the thing. But the Babylonian event, they're just explaining what they think they need to do to beat it. They're all freaking out, and they're like, let's do a frontal assault. Magic users will try to disrupt the portal. The Science of V will go and try to contain and kill this dude. That's a long story short, because I'm not explaining all that. This is a long book. They try to make it work. But the one thing I did want to mention to you, Cryptid, they brought back Amadeus Cho, but he's in his Hulk form, like full Hulk form.
Yeah, I remember seeing that little clip. He pops up with Ikro, or Ikro brings him in.
Yeah, he pops up with rip off Emma Frost and Dr. Drum, which is Dr. Voodoo. Black Panther's also here in the panel.
But yeah, think about Amadeus is he never did lose his Hulk form. I mean, he basically went through the She-Hulk route where he's a standard slimmer Hulk, but he can Hulk out at certain points. You know?
Yeah, that's what I'm confused about because I didn't finish the team book he was on. That you read.
Yeah. Agents of Atlas. Yeah, it showed that yes, he still has the Hulk dormant inside him, and if push comes to shove, he could unleash it. But he's just worried about unleashing it. You know?
Jake, are you still here?
Yes.
Okay. I was gonna ask you, did you remember the legend of like the city of Babylon? Because I wanted to look it up before this, but I was too busy reading other books.
Like the Greek legend?
Yeah, it's like when you open the gates of Babylon, what that's the phrase, you open the gates of Babylon. This dude literally says, "Behold, Babylon and the gates, old monsters and stuff started coming through." So I was going to ask you, if you knew the legend, does that have like anything to do with the actual like story of Babylon? I don't think it does. I just thought it was a cool like call like that.
I would know offhand. That's somebody for someone else named Pyro that I know. That's about it.
You know, comment section, you tell us. Or I don't know about next time we have to talk about this book.
Yeah.
But basically, when he really is just not the Tower of Babel. We're not doing a Batman story, bro. We're not doing that. But he really solves this in like the very Constantine way, where he goes, he finds this penny, and he's like, "Wait, this penny's very special." He goes to the collector. He says, "I have this penny. I'll trade it for you." You find out this penny is of Abraham. I believe Abraham Lincoln from like Earth 5 or something. It's from a different Earth. He trades it for a book and a vase, and he like immediately breaks the vase to get something out of it. But with this book, he goes to the next phase of the plan. You see the attack on Babylon. basically everyone's losing. Everyone's just losing. He goes to another god. He trades what he got from the collector with this dude. The AIM scientist and the AIM scientist and Black Panther are trying to use his machine to break down the portal. None of this stuff is working. When it goes to another person and then trades the key he got out the vase to a witch lady, and it's like, this is just Constantine. He's just stealing stories. I really feel like he was.
No, he's recycling a story. That's what it is. Like,
yeah, it's honestly, he probably had a story for Constantine, like you said, that it didn't go through, and he rewrote it here, or he was like, you know what? What if Marvel had a Constantine? Because we already got a Dr. Fate with Dr. Strange, but we never really had a Constantine type character when it comes to magic.
Mm-hmm.
But he trades some more stuff, and this guy reveals that, oh, I'm working for someone. He gave me the item to beat the natural order things, which is Wayne's wife, the fake Emma Frost lady, and all the people they're dressed in white. They're all like very pure future Cyrus his outfits. But it starts wrapping them up and cutting them in half and locking them up and stuff. This bad guy is obliterating them. I don't know his name. That sounds really bad. But we'll let us. Funny enough, he ends up meeting Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange's like, oh, you're here too. Yeah, I had to trade some other stuff to get to this point. But they're both making it to the final guy they need to reach to save the day, basically. And this guy, let me see if I can find his name, because I kind of want to miss him. I believe it's Zoom.
Okay,
I believe it's Zoom. But
let's just keep the track going and call him Wynn's bad guy.
This is the guy he's working with, not the bad guy. No, this is the guy he's working with, not the bad guy.
Okay.
This dude is basically what people think Bonaparte is. He's very short. He's like a goblin Bonaparte. But when the Dr. Strange is talking to him, trying to figure out how to say the name, but he drops his book and he picks it up, and Dimitri asks him, so what's the deal with that book? He's like, I can't tell you. If this book gets into the wrong hands, like, we'll all die. That's all he tells him. And then Dimitri tries to look up the book with his science ability. He basically has a tablet that tells him everything. He tries to look it up, and Wynn tells him to stop. When Dr. Strange goes to the portal, he basically starts fighting the bad guy in some very Constantine panels. He makes a knife, throws it at him. The bad guy grabs him with tentacles. The book falls, and the bad guy's like, "What's this book?" And Dimitri freaks out. He's like, "When he got the book, make sure you save it. You're gonna kill us all." And so the bad guy is like, "Oh, this book must be important." And then he picks up the book and starts trying to read from it, and traps his own self in the book. I don't know. It wipes his mind and it stuns him, and then when like curve stomps this man in some Mortal Kombat panels. And wait, that's really how it is. It's literally just Constantine. If you know Constantine is, it's basically that. It's just that. And then at the end, he gives a very Constantine speech. And I was like, bro, what is this book? I was enjoying it, but I was like, bro. I was enjoying everything, but I was like, bro, come on. And he says, I lived for 1,000 years, man. I did all this stuff. Life is pain. Life kind of sucks, but you push through because you have to. And someone has to save the day. Good and bad doesn't really matter anymore. I just kind of do what I need to save the day, which is what Constantine, does. This is the same guy who sort of said, "Oh, I'll save the day, but only because my daughter's here." And the moment he gets his daughter out of the picture, he just leaves. He does not care.
He's like, "It's all pointless. I just don't have faith anymore. If there's one thing I know for sure, it's that." Only for his wife to come in and kiss him on the lips, and he's like, "You know what? Maybe there is a point."
Yeah, sometimes I can be wrong, and that's kind of where the book ends. And I didn't know that. I do this book will be a big mixed thing. Because if you like Constantine, this is a good book. If you but it's Constantine by Jonathan Hickman, so it's a lot of information at once. that even now, glossing over stuff, I know there's a lot of stuff I missed. That I'm gonna have to reread later.
Mm-hmm.
So I already knew this book. People like this book. Apparently, it's doing well, but I knew that there's gonna be this big discourse of reading this.
Well, you can't blame
magic.
Yeah, well, you can't blame the audience at large if you're going to be investing $10 within one book. You know, if this was maybe like a $4 or $5 book, I can understand. You know,
let's hope the rest of the issues are shorter and are worth $4 or $5.
Yes,
because as a big special edition for the $10, all these pages, it was just too much information at once.
Mm-hmm. But
and I can see why you don't like this book. But as a person who came into the book believed it was going to be just Constantine, when I saw the guy, this is kind of exactly what I wanted.
So. Good for you. And again, I'm still a believer in Hickman. There is going to be a payoff in this book, like between this and the Ultimate Invasion at some point, you know? So I am going to stick with this book, just hoping on that payoff to deliver.
That's why I want to say this for today. So before we leave in a little bit, this book, these two books show the major problem with Jonathan Hickman's writing style, is that he always gives you a little bit to hang on to, but everything about his storytelling is that, in a year or two from now, this is gonna be one of the greatest stories you ever read. But you have to wait till we get like a year or two in. Like his Fantastic Four is probably my favorite comic book ever. His Fantastic Four full run, the story between Reed, his son, and Reed's own father.
Mm-hmm.
But if you read that book issue by issue, you're like, bro, what the fuck? I was so lucky that I started reading that book after it was already done, so I just read the whole story through. But I couldn't imagine reading that book weekly, and I feel it with these two books.
Mm-hmm. Again,
I have faith that it's going to be good in, but the road there is going to be hard, and I just hope Marvel invest in it and let him finish fully telling the story. Because I really hate that we get to the end of this and he's like, well, we canceled the book because blank, 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 or we decided to change something, so Hickman left, blank, blank, blank. So it'll make the time. And that'll be the biggest thing that'll make me mad after all the time we invested reading these books.
Marvel will be like, it's okay, Hickman. We gave Dan Slott as his main Spider-Man, so he doesn't have to mess with your Ultimate Spider-Man. Do what you want. Like that's
basically what it is. So if you're not a fan of Constantine type storytelling, especially when it's Jonathan Hickman's version of magic, it's like this is probably like a 4 or 5 out of 10. But for me, who came in here fully expecting this type of story, this is like a 9 for me. I just gotta remember people's names.
Gotcha. All right, in that case, any final thoughts?
I recommend any new readers or anything to wait till the book's over and then just read all 4 together, to be honest. Because then you can read at your own pace and you have the full story. So you see the full thing of what he's trying to do.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, coming from my perspective, audience, I wasn't too crazy on this book, but even I feel like there's going to be a glimmer of hope, a glimmer of good storytelling later on. I'm putting my investment in that. So yeah.
You know what? I'll even say wait longer, so this issue isn't $10 by the time you buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Or just wait for the full paperback for all I know. Wait for that. That might help.
Yeah. There you go. But alrighty, audience. With that, wow, we made it almost an hour and a half. Man,
yeah, here I was thinking 30 minutes every issue.
Yeah, like here I was thinking like we weren't going to have enough to talk about to last an hour. Wow. But
the
anyway,
thing about
audience.
Jonathan Hickman, he puts so much stuff in these little pages that I can pick apart any part of this book and just talk for like an hour.
That is true. But anyway, audience, with that, let me plug in our socials one last time. You can follow us on. Hold a sec. Let me bring them up. You can follow us on Instagram at Comic Fanatic 2.0, or you can follow us on Twitter at Comic Fanatic 69. And with that, audience, I guess we bid you all adieu. Till next time.
The Force sucks in live action. It can only be done well in a cartoon, and by cartoon I mean Rebels. Okay.
And that's how we'll end tonight.
You should have said that in your review.
Yeah. Okay. You could have said it. You could have said it.